Can a friendship built over years crumble in an instant just because of one decision? Why did Taehyung, who always appears calm, suddenly seem to cry in silence after hearing a shocking statement from Jungkook? What's going on behind this sudden change in attitude? And is it true that Jungkook doesn't want to go back to the way things used to be? The latest spotlight from BTS doesn't come from a grand stage or a major comeback, but from something far more personal, deeper, and touching the most fragile point of their fans, the emotional connection between Kim Taehyung, V, and Jeon Jungkook. Two names that for years symbolized unity, closeness, and brotherhood in the eyes of ARMY, are now at the center of speculation and debate after a leaked private conversation revealed Jungkook's surprising statement that he doesn't want to return to how things were with Taehyung. What exactly does the way things were mean? Is this just a phase in the lives of two friends searching for their own identities? Or is there a deeper wound that has been hidden from the public? Cameras may not capture all the emotions that surge, but Taehyung's body language, looking somber during a military training break, and reports from internal sources confirm one thing: something is truly disturbing his emotions. Exclusive footage recently circulated among Korean entertainment journalists shows Taehyung, while meeting a close friend during military service, taking a deep breath and saying in a soft voice, "I didn't expect he really said that." Though he didn't mention a name directly, observers and fans who have followed the dynamic between V and Jungkook for years immediately concluded that he was referring to Jungkook, especially since other reports mentioned that just days earlier, Jungkook had openly stated his desire to no longer be trapped in the past. Jungkook's statement caused an uproar. "We've changed," he said in an online interview that was initially overlooked. But when linked to Taehyung's emotional moment, every word from Jungkook became a puzzle to be solved. "I don't want to go back to the way things were. It's not because I'm angry, but because I choose to move forward, not tied to what once was." A sentence that for some fans signals freedom, but for others, it's the start of a widening gap between two beloved figures. What really made Jungkook take such a stance? Is it related to unresolved issues from the past? Many speculate that the tough times behind the cameras may have been a trigger. It's no secret that the period leading up to mandatory military service and the pressures of the Korean entertainment world can be overwhelming, even for an idol like Jungkook. But why is this decision so painful for Taehyung? An anonymous source close to BTS revealed that Taehyung and Jungkook had a one-on-one conversation before both entered the military. In that meeting, Taehyung reportedly asked if, after all this, they could return to the way things were, sharing, trusting, and growing together as family. But Jungkook's answer was reportedly quite shocking. "I don't know if I can or want to." That sentence cuts both ways. On one hand, it's honesty. On the other, it slices through the hope of someone who has held on to memories and believed that everything could still be the same. Taehyung didn't cry because of that statement alone, but because all the memories suddenly felt like illusions. Especially for someone like him, who deeply values emotional connection, inner relationships, and the meaning of human presence in his life. What's more painful than being left not out of hatred, but out of change? Does Jungkook truly want to walk away? Or is this just a phase in his journey of self-discovery, which may bring him back someday when things are calmer and clearer? But what's even more surprising is the response from the agency, which finally released a brief statement. "We understand the concerns from fans regarding the dynamics between BTS members. Currently, all members are undergoing military service, which demands time and space for personal growth. We respect their privacy and ask the public to offer positive support." This diplomatic stance actually raises more questions than answers. Why is there no direct clarification? Is there really tension? Or is this a subtle way of acknowledging that everyone, even idols, has the right to change? One thing is certain, this news opens another side of celebrity life that is rarely talked about relationships tested by time, career pressures, and the need to grow individually. Jungkook, who has long been known as the Golden Magne, with incredible talent and a warm personality, seems to be in a deep phase of introspection. He stated that he wants to find himself without the shadows of the past. Not because he hates that past, but because he feels too many things are holding him back from growing if he stays in the same pattern. Meanwhile, Taehyung, as someone who is more expressive and emotionally sensitive, may not be ready to fully accept the reality that what he thought could still be preserved has now become part of history. He cries not because he's weak, but because he realizes how fast everything can change, and that even genuine love and closeness can be replaced by a need to seek a new direction. What will happen next? Is this truly the end of their closeness? Or will there come a time in the future when the two meet again as more mature versions of themselves and talk things out openly? For now, one truth remains. Taehyung cried after learning Jungkook didn't want to go back to the way things were. And the big question still hasn't been fully answered. What really happened? After all the emotional and speculative narrative that has spread widely, it is important for the public, especially ARMY, to return to reality and not get carried away by streams of unverified information. Many of the statements presented in the previous report did not come from official sources or any documentation that could truly be accounted for. Even though the article succeeded in building tension and curiosity, we must emphasize that most of its content is not based on facts, but merely opinions and assumptions spiced with emotion. The fact is, until now there has been no official statement from Jungkook saying that he does not want to return to how things were before with Taehyung. There is also no recording or interview that contains such a statement in the context of their personal relationship. Everything stated in the previous article is just subjective interpretation of fragments that cannot be concluded wholly. The fragment, "I don't want to go back to the way things were," that was previously mentioned, even if it was ever said by Jungkook, was never directly linked to Taehyung or their friendship. Likewise with the claim that Taehyung was said to be crying because of Jungkook's decision, there is no concrete evidence supporting that claim. Photos or videos showing Taehyung appearing gloomy or contemplative during his military service cannot be concluded as an expression of sadness about his personal relationship with Jungkook. As we all know, the military is a physically and mentally demanding environment, and it's normal for someone to look more serious or tired. Directly connecting it with personal life without strong basis is a form of information manipulation. The anonymous source mentioned in the narrative also does not have a clear identity. In credible journalism, anonymous sources can only be trusted if cross-verified and supported by other facts that reinforce them. In this article, there is no such verification. In fact, there has been no statement or signal from HYB indicating internal tension between Taehyung and Jungkook. On the contrary, in every official statement released by the agency, they always affirm that BTS members continue to support each other, even though they are currently undergoing military service and individual projects. The biggest surprise of this article turns out not to come from the content of the news itself, but from the fact that many readers were too quick to believe and spread unverified information. This often happens in a culture of fanaticism. The great love for idols turns into excessive worry that easily ignites from sensational news. We must also realize that the relationships between BTS members are not public entertainment that can be twisted as one pleases. They are humans with complex personal lives, and not everything needs to be exposed to the public. What they show to the public is only a small part of what they actually feel. When the public tries to guess their emotions only from facial expressions, short captions, or brief interactions, we can make huge mistakes in judging and even create narratives that never existed. The relationship between Taehyung and Jungkook, as we have witnessed for years, is built on friendship, shared hard work, and mutual respect. They have gone through various phases, from strangers to friends, then close brothers, and finally comrades in struggle. Of course, that relationship can change, but it does not always mean becoming worse. Change can mean maturity, and that maturity is often misinterpreted by the public as distance or tension, when in fact it is a form of growth. ARMY needs to understand that differences in attitude or a lack of public interaction do not mean hostility. In real life, even in the closest friendships, there are moments of silence, pauses, or personal focus. That's what makes a relationship healthy because it gives room to grow. So, did Taehyung cry because Jungkook didn't want to return to the way things were? The facts show there is no real evidence of that. Did Jungkook explicitly state that he distanced himself from Taehyung? No. Everything is just speculation that grows from the collective anxiety of fans. The conclusion that must be underlined is, This news is not true. It is not supported by strong data, has no trustworthy official sources, and uses too many emotional assumptions to build a dramatic narrative. We all need to be more careful in absorbing information, especially in a large fandom community like BTS. Love for idols should encourage us to act wisely, not become victims of false news wrapped in clickbait style. Lastly, as fans, the greatest support we can give is by preserving the dignity and personal space of BTS members. Don't let curiosity and excessive sense of ownership create new pressure for them. Let's wait for direct news from them, not from rumors that have not been proven. Because one thing is certain, true truth does not need sensation to stand tall.